Imagine rural China before the storm. Peaceful villages nestled amidst rolling hills. Farmers, their faces weathered by the sun, tended to their fields. The land, worked for generations, provided sustenance and life. Rivers flowed, reflecting the clear blue sky. Children played in the fields, their laughter echoing through the valleys. Life was simple, a rhythm of seasons and harvests. A sense of community thrived, neighbors helping neighbors. This was China, a land of ancient traditions and quiet resilience. Enter Chairman Mao Zedong, a charismatic leader with a grand vision. He envisioned a new China, a powerful and industrialized nation. In 1958, he launched the Great Leap Forward, a radical plan to transform China's economy. The goal was ambitious, to surpass the West in industrial and agricultural output. Millions rallied behind Mao, their hopes fueled by his promises of a brighter future. The nation mobilized, driven by a collective spirit of progress and national pride. The Great Leap Forward, however, would soon reveal its devastating consequences. Mao's policies reshaped the very fabric of Chinese society. Collective farming was enforced, private land ownership abolished. Farmers, once independent, were now cogs in a vast state-controlled machine. They were organized into communes, vast collectives where they lived and worked together. Traditional farming practices were discarded, replaced by untested methods dictated by the state. Backyard steel furnaces sprouted across the countryside, fueled by the fervor of the masses. Millions toiled tirelessly, aiming to meet unrealistic production targets. The human cost of this forced transformation was immense. The initial euphoria of the Great Leap Forward soon gave way to grim reality. The radical agricultural policies proved disastrous. Untested methods led to plummeting crop yields. The backyard steel furnaces produced useless pig iron, diverting crucial labor from the fields. Food shortages emerged, whispering through the villages like a chilling wind. Granaries, once overflowing, stood nearly empty. Rations dwindled, leaving people hungry and desperate. The government, however, remained oblivious, clinging to its utopian vision as the crisis deepened. The whispers of scarcity transformed into a deafening roar, echoing through the streets and homes of countless families. The Great Chinese Famine, one of the deadliest famines in human history, had begun, casting a long, dark shadow over the nation. From 1959 to 1961, China plunged into an abyss of suffering, with millions of lives hanging in the balance. The once fertile land lay barren, scorched by drought and ravaged by misguided policies, leaving the soil cracked and lifeless. Fields that once teemed with life were now eerily silent, a haunting reminder of the abundance that had vanished. Hunger gnawed at the bellies of millions, with children and adults alike suffering from severe malnutrition. Desperation drove people to desperate measures. As they scoured the land for anything edible, they ate leaves, bark, and roots, anything to survive, their bodies weakened by the relentless hunger. Stories of cannibalism, whispered in hushed tones, became a horrifying reality as the famine pushed humanity to its darkest depths. The Chinese government, initially slow to acknowledge the crisis, took its time to respond to the growing emergency. The delay in recognizing the severity of the situation cost precious lives and time. Eventually, the government did respond with relief efforts, but these efforts were often disorganized and insufficient. The aid that was distributed was a mere fraction of what was needed to address the widespread suffering. Grain was procured from abroad, but logistical challenges and bureaucratic red tape slowed its distribution. The grain shipments, though a step in the right direction, arrived too late to make a significant impact. For millions of starving villagers, the aid was too little, too late. The prolonged period of hunger had already taken a devastating toll on the population, leading to widespread malnutrition and death. The government's response was further hampered by its reluctance to admit the failures of its own policies. Instead of taking responsibility, the leadership chose to shift the blame elsewhere. Natural disasters and local officials were used as convenient scapegoats. The central government deflected criticism by pointing to floods, droughts, and the supposed incompetence of regional authorities. The true scale of the famine was suppressed, with official records and documents being altered or hidden. The extent of the tragedy was kept from both the international community and the Chinese populace. The famine was hidden from the world and even from the Chinese people themselves. Censorship and propaganda ensured that the full horror of the situation remained unknown to many. The Great Famine became a silent tragedy, unfolding in the shadows. The empty fields and silent streets bore witness to the lives lost and the suffering endured. It was a dark secret, buried beneath layers of propaganda and denial. The government's efforts to cover up the facts only deepened the tragedy, leaving a scar on the nation's history that would take decades to heal. The Great Chinese Famine left an indelible mark on China's national psyche. Tens of millions perished, their lives cut short by starvation and disease. Families were torn apart, communities shattered. Trust in the government, once absolute, was deeply eroded. The famine cast a long shadow, its memory lingering even decades later. It serves as a stark reminder of the human cost of totalitarian regimes and the dangers of unchecked ideology. The famine's legacy is a complex tapestry of pain, resilience, and the enduring spirit of the Chinese people. The Great Chinese Famine holds profound lessons for humanity. It underscores the critical importance of sound agricultural policies, respecting traditional farming practices, and acknowledging early warning signs of food insecurity. It highlights the need for transparency and accountability in government, ensuring that accurate information reaches those in power. The famine's tragic legacy emphasizes the vital role of international cooperation in responding to humanitarian crises, transcending political differences to alleviate human suffering. By learning from the mistakes of the past, we can strive to prevent such tragedies from ever happening again. The Great Chinese Famine may be a dark chapter in human history, but it also reveals the extraordinary resilience of the human spirit. In the face of overwhelming adversity, the strength and determination of individuals shone through. Despite unimaginable suffering, individuals displayed acts of courage, compassion, and selflessness. They found ways to support each other, even when resources were scarce. Families shared their meager rations, neighbors helped neighbors, and strangers became friends in the struggle for survival. Communities came together to support one another, creating bonds that would last a lifetime. These acts of solidarity were a beacon of hope in the darkest of times. The famine's victims, though silenced by tragedy, deserve to be remembered. Their suffering and their strength are a part of our collective history. Their stories, often untold and undocumented, stand as a testament to the enduring strength of the human spirit in the face of adversity. These stories remind us of the power of resilience and the importance of community. By remembering their plight, we honor their memory and ensure that their struggles were not in vain. We learn from their experiences and strive to build a better future, and reaffirm our commitment to a future free from hunger and suffering. Through continued efforts and compassion, we can create a world where such tragedies are a thing of the past.